Hello, everyone, and welcome back to No More Heroes. Travis Strikes Again. Yeah, this is a plot part because there was no good way to start the next level and
Oh,
end it at
oof.
a reasonable point.
Oof.
I
The
hate that
12
shit.
minute, I don't know how to cut this because I either have a 12-minute part or a 35-minute part.
36-minute part, yeah.
I never have to make that decision. I always just default to 35 minutes.
You don't have to make that decision if they're all 36 minutes long.
Although, like, if I ever get to recording like a Metal Gear Solid game or something, it's going to be a choice between like a 35-minute plot part and a 50-minute plot plus gameplay part. Like, no joke. Every time I play Metal Gear Solid 2, which thankfully isn't all that often, I always have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the goddamn finale with Solid as Snake because the cutscenes are fucking feature length at that point.
The Coda conversation before the final boss part with at Liberty Hall is 20 something minutes long.
Yeah. And that's just the codec conversation.
Yeah, that's just the
The
Coda.
cutscenes around the
Absolutely right.
codec conversation make it even longer. Wow. But
It's funny because you hear Lewis saying that 36-minute plot part or 55-minute plot and gameplay. What you don't know is that 54 minutes are cutscenes and it's a minute gameplay.
yeah.
That sounds like Metal Gear Solid.
Okay, to tell you the truth, okay.
So bizarre.
Metal Gear Solid 1 wasn't that story heavy. Like, there were.
No, it really was. I mean, it was chatty at points, sure, but it had a really good
Yeah,
balance.
it had a good balance. There were some long codec conversations here and there. But, for the most part, you'd have some story and then you'd get back to gameplay. Sometimes the pacing was a little uneven because there wasn't much gameplay in between two fairly lengthy story sequences, but it wasn't like fucking Xenosaga or anything with really long ass cutscenes
Ugh.
everywhere. And then Metal Gear Solid 2 happens and it's just okay, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 happens and it's like okay times 10.
And then 4 happens, and it's like, just make a movie, Kojima.
Like you tip the scale at one extreme in Sons of Liberty. Snake Eater, I think, wasn't as bad as Sons
Snake
of
Eater
Liberty.
wasn't.
No.
Snake Eater, okay, didn't have like any like one really uber long cutscene the way Metal Gear Solid 2 did, but it also started in on the longer cutscenes and longer codec conversations earlier than 2 did. So the pacing of the game plus story, well, let's just say the only thing that kept that pacing even at all was that the gameplay itself took longer because of the jungle. So
Yeah.
it took longer to get things done, and that balanced it out in a weird way. Yeah,
And then 4 said, whatever, get some popcorn.
yeah. Uh,
You
and
know,
I can
I
make
find it
movies now,
funny
so
that
Kojima.
people still talk about Metal Gear Solid as if 4 was the last one. Because 5 just
They-
left that little...
They-
5 doesn't matter.
they never
Yeah,
made
that's
a
the
Metal
thing.
Gear
5
Solid
doesn't
5,
matter.
damn it.
Lewis, I hate to inform you, but they made 2 Metal Gear Solid 5s, technically.
He's not wrong.
No, they didn't. They never did.
Yeah, 5's biggest problem is that it doesn't matter in anything. Like, at all.
I played the fucking demo, okay, and I stopped there because I'm like, okay, I don't need any more of
It's a
this.
shame, too, because I think 5 has the best gameplay. Like, out of all of them, I think 5 mechanically is the best one, but it doesn't matter.
It's just 4 again, though.
It's also long. Like, it's really long. It's like 55 something hours
Gameplay-wise,
long.
it's just a more open version of 4, though, and 4 was fine for the one half of the game where it was actually a game. I mean, and then you get to Shadow Moses, and there's no stealth to do because everything's a robot, so just kill everything. It's like, why bother? And then from there, everything is very linear. But like for the first 2 big open acts, it's a really good game. And then you trail a guy around, and then do a turret section, and then for some reason, everything, including the gameplay, is a cutscene after that point. I don't why. What happened?
Kojima just said, I can make movies now, and that's about it.
You can tell at the exact point in Metal Gear Solid 4's production where he decided to just stop making games and start making movies because the game stops being a game halfway through. Uh,
I think there was a Godzilla battle somewhere in the middle of that pipe dream.
yeah. Well, there was the Rex versus Ray fight in the middle. There
Yeah.
was a good bit of gameplay, a good bit of out of nowhere gameplay in a completely different genre. But
I love that scene though. Like that is such a kick-ass
it
sequence.
is. It's too bad there's no other gameplay worth a damn on Shadow Moses Island. Um,
Yeah, because it really only means anything if you played the first Metal Gear Solid at all. Like that's what that entire sequence is banking on, the
well,
nostalgia.
yeah,
It's just to be nostalgia baiting.
but
Yeah.
apart from the
Yeah.
boss fight in the middle against the not Sniper Wolf, the
Crying Wolf.
yeah, apart from the boss fight in the middle, Shadow Moses Island is a really goddamn barren level.
I was gonna say Sad Wolf, but it's like no, that's not right.
It's like, you're going through all these areas that used to be really fun when they had human opponents patrolling that you needed to sneak by. But there's no reason not to go full lethal on Shadow Moses Island because everything on the island is a robot.
Yeah, you're fighting geckos.
Yeah. It's like
everywhere.
the only thing you'll want to go stealthy and non-lethal against is the sniper boss. Um the geckos, the little three-armed scouter robot things, just blow them up. Use all those weapons that you've been stockpiling and haven't been using because you're on a non-lethal run.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only reason why you would do it if you were trying to get the stealth bandana, just for bragging rights, I guess, or for like New Game Plus.
Right. There is a reward tied to being stealthy throughout the entire game in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was always a reward for doing that.
Yeah.
Well, normally, like the stealth camo was tied to the ending you got in Metal Gear Solid 1. I don't remember what the stipulation was for 2.
I don't remember.
And
3 had the
well, fuck.
3 had
3 had the well. If you were playing the 3DS version, depending on what kind of photograph you took to make your own camouflage, you can make 100% stealth camo index easily, which breaks the game.
Just,
in half.
boot up your computer and take pictures of actual camouflage patterns or photos of the forest even.
You can then be so camouflaged you can stand in front of someone and they won't know you're there.
exactly.
Ted, you're
You're not wrong.
close. You're
When
damn
you-
close. Like not standing, but if you have 100% stealth camo index, you can literally like be humping their leg and they wouldn't.
Yeah,
care.
the thing about the stealth camo index when it's working properly,
It's like, well, that's a large horny mountain snake.
the thing about the camo index when it's working properly in Metal Gear Solids 3 and 4 is that the camo index will go down if you're standing up or moving quickly. But in the 3DS version of 3, if you create a perfect enough camouflage pattern, you can get it so overpowered that it will be 100% even when you're standing up and running. So it gets a little ridiculous. Whereas all the stuff that's actually built in-game and balanced properly won't do that. So you might as well be playing with a Game Shark at that point. Man, do you remember Game Sharks and all the weird rebooting fuckery you had to do to get those things working?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing about Pro Action Replays was like the obviously like third-party artwork they didn't have the license for.
Yes, it is me, the Mario. Yes.
It is me. It's
Yes.
Sanic the prickly porcupine.
So Mari reporting for duty.
I
sir.
am the
So, yeah.
I am the Doom Green Beret.
What? I don't get it.
Doom Marine.
Oh. Right. Oh.
I think this character here is a take that at the EA executive who was really controlling over the next game that Suda worked on.
Did EA
That is
publish
referencing-
No More Heroes?
No. It was a game before this, but the game within the game here that Travis is going to go into next is basically just a not sequel for a game he made previously. that was published by EA, and EA was stupid controlling over it.
Oh, of course they were.
What
Yeah.
what game?
So I
do you
think
know?
I think Shadows of the Damned. I think it was.
Oh,
It's called.
I've heard of that game. I don't know much
it's
about
with
it.
it's with the talking gun.
Wait, there's a talking. I did not know that.
Oh.
But yeah, this guy here's a giant fuck you to that EA executive he had to work with.
Okay, the gun has a skull on it. Okay,
Yeah, and it talks.
That makes sense. It's got decent reviews. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
history has taught me to be.
Ooh, oof. That's not good. Apparently, on the first week, it only sold 24K units.
Yeah, it
Oof.
did not do well.
Okay,
Yeah, that's-
so history has taught me to be extremely wary when games start making fun of commercialism or the industry, because inevitably the sequels to the game that makes the joke turn around and start chasing the industry trends and affluence.
This is specifically a take that to one to how he felt working on that one game.
Oh yeah, I know, but like, it's an inevitable pattern. So I hope that No More Heroes 3 doesn't do the thing that usually happens after these jokes are made.
Suda doesn't really chase trends. He just makes whatever the hell he wants.
Well, except when the companies are leaning on him.
You know, again, that was one of the main reasons he hated working with EA.
Yeah, I'm reading a development article right now, and he was not entirely happy with the final product because of the company leaning on him.
Electronic Arts really should just stop being Electronic Arts. Like, yeah, I get it.
Well, they're not. They're EA.
Which stands for Electronic Arts, but you know.
No, I don't want to hear that.
Okay, here's the thing about Electronic Arts. They have such a long and well-known track record for screwing over developers with what sound on paper like good business decisions that you think at some point the higher ups would grow some self-awareness and stop doing that shit, but they only ever got good enough at not doing that shit to be slightly okay with BioWare after 2 games where they weren't.
Yeah, it's at this point. EA has been EA for so long that it's a running joke about being the worst video game company, and it hasn't changed after like 10 years.
Right
So-
now, it's like a
or
competition between EA and Bethesda to see who can do that kind of stuff worse.
Yeah. Thankfully,
Clearly, we need a death battle on this.
we'll be seeing the not sequel to the game in question in the next part of No More Heroes.